Image repair and restoration. Image repair and restoration. And remove objects from your photo with content aware fill. So how to remove objects from your photos with content aware fill? By the way, the content aware fill workspace, you should select edit, then select content and aware fill, and provides you an interactive editing experience to achieve seamless results, and you get control over the sampling area that is used by the content aware technology to fill the selected portion of the image and several other settings to adjust the fill result. And you also get a live full resolution preview of the changes and an option to output the result to a new layer. By the way, like this screenshot, this image now explain for you the content aware fill workspace. And check out this video where Julian Cost dives into the improvements to Photoshop's select subject and the innovations of the new object select tool and the enhancements to content aware fill, and how to launch the content aware fill workspace. How to launch the content aware fill workspace. We have steps here now. Step number 1, you should to open an image in Photoshop, then use any selection tool to select a part of the image you want to fill. Number 2, you should to choose edit, then choose content aware fill, and after that Photoshop launches the content aware fill workspace. And within the content aware fill workspace, the document window displays the default sampling areas as an overlay mask over the image, by the way. And you can also use tools provided in the tools panel and as the left of the screen to modify the sampling area and your initial selection of the fill area. And in the content aware fill panel at the right of the screen, you can specify sampling options, by the way, fill setting and output setting to get the desired fill result in the image. As you make the changes, the preview panel displays a live full resolution preview of the output. How to use tools. How to use tools to fine-tune sampling and fill areas. By the way, sampling brush tool. You can use the sampling brush tool to add or remove from the sampling area used to fill the selection, and paint over the image in the document window. Like this screenshot, this image now appears for you, and explain how to modify the sampling area using the sampling brush tool. And to add the default sampling area, you have to choose the add mode in the tool options bar, and brush over the areas in the image you want to include in the sampling area overlay. And after that, to remove from the default sampling area, you have to choose the subtract mode in the tool options bar and brush over the areas in the image you want to exclude from the sampling area overlay. And after that, to toggle between add and subtract modes, hold down Alt if you use Windows, or Option if you use macOS, and key while brushing with the sampling brush tool. After that, to increase or decrease the sampling brush size, you have to use the size option in the tool options bar, or use the left or right bracket keys. And what about lasso tool and polygonal lasso tool? You can't use any one of this selection, by the way. You can't use any one of these selection tools to change or modify your original selection fill area in the document window. Like the next screenshot, next picture is explained for you. Modify your selection using the lasso or polygonal lasso tool. And the lasso tool, by the way, and polygonal lasso tool in the content aware fill workspace work just like the corresponding tool in Photoshop. And after that, you can use the keyboard shortcut E to cycle mouse for lasso tools, and the new selection add to selection, and subtract from selection and intersect with selection. And the content aware fill workspace, by the way, provides two additional tool options for lasso tools: expand and contract. You can Click these options, by the way, in the tool options bar to expand or contract the selection by a specified number of pixels. And to reset all changes made in this workspace to the original selection, what should you do? You will click the reset icon in the tool options bar. And note and be careful here now, please note and be careful in this point. When you change the selection, the sampling area gets reset by the previous brush strokes are preserved, and the selection also gets updated in the document when you exit the content aware fill workspace after committing the fill. So what's the meaning of hand tool? Hand tool is meaning that you can use this tool to pan over different parts of the image in the document window and the image preview in the preview panel. And you can also switch to hand tool quickly by pressing the H key while using any other tool. So what about zoom tool? What's the meaning of zoom tool? Zoom tool is meaning that you can use zoom tool to magnify or reduce the view of the image in the document window or the image preview in the preview panel. And what about zoom tool in the content aware fill workspace? Works just like the corresponding tool in Photoshop. And after that, to change the magnification in the preview panel, you can also drag the zoom slider or type a value in the text box at the bottom of the panel. So what about adjust content aware fill setting? Adjust content aware fill setting is meaning that you can adjust the following setting in the content aware fill panel. We have sampling area overlay, and we have options here now. We have many options actually. Option number 1, show sampling area, is meaning that you can select options to show the sampling area or the excluded area and overlay on the image in the document window. And to reset to default sampling area, you should to click the reset button icon next to the show sampling area option. After that, next option, opacity. Opacity is meaning sets the opacity of the overlay displayed in the document window. To adjust the opacity, drag the slider or type a percentage value in the text box. And color. What's the meaning of color? Color is meaning assigns color to the overlay displayed in the document window, and click the color selection box and then choose a color with the Adobe color picker. And what about indicators? Indicators is meaning that shows the overlay in the sampling or the excluded area, and then choose an option from the drop down list and the sampling area or excluded area. And what about sampling area options? Sampling area options is meaning determine the sampling area in your image where you want Photoshop to look for source pixels to fill content. And you have options here now again. Option number 1, auto. Auto is meaning that you can to select this option to use content similar to surrounding fill area. And what about rectangular? Rectangular is meaning select this option to use this rectangular region around the fill area. And what about custom? Custom is meaning you can to select this option to manually define a sampling area, and you can use the sampling brush tool to add to the sampling area anyway. And what about fill setting? Fill setting is meaning color adaptation. Color adaptation allows contrast and brightness to adapt for a better match. This setting, by the way, is useful for filling content with gradual color or texture changes, and you can choose an appropriate option from the drop down list, and none, and default, and high or very high. Like this screenshot, this image now explain for you how to use the color adaptation setting to fill content with gradual color or texture changes. So what about rotation adaptation? Rotation adaptation is allows content rotation for a better match. This setting, by the way, is useful for filling content with rotated or curved patterns, and you can choose an appropriate option from the drop down list, and none, and low, medium, and high or full, like this screenshot. This picture now appear for you and explain. Use the rotation adaptation setting to fill content with rotated or curved patterns. And what about scale? Scale is meaning that you can to select this option to allow content resizing for a better match, and it works well for filing content with repeating pattern of different sizes or under perspective. And like this screenshot. And this image now is appear for you and explain how to use the scale option for filling content with repeating patterns of different sizes or under perspective. What about mirror? Mirror is meaning you can to select this option to allow content to be flipped horizontally for a better match. This is useful, by the way, for images with horizontal symmetry, like this screenshot. This image is meaning that you can use the mirror option to fill images with horizontal symmetry. To reset to default fill setting, you should to click the reset button icon in the fill setting menu. So what about output setting? Output setting is meaning that to apply content aware fill to current layer and new layer or duplicate layer. View full resolution. View full resolution preview in the preview panel. View full resolution preview in the preview panel. As you find, tune sampling and fill areas and adjust fill setting, the preview panel renders, by the way, a full resolution preview of the changes. And do not be careful here now. By the way, Photoshop first renders an initial low resolution preview of the changes in the preview panel immediately after it generates a full resolution preview. And while this full resolution preview is being generated, you may notice that aware warning icon appears next to the spinner in the lower right corner of the preview panel. And to change the magnification of the preview image, you can also drag the zoom slider or type a value in the text box at the bottom of the panel, and you can also select zoom tool in the tools panel. And to open over different parts of the preview image, what should you do? You can switch to hand tool quickly by pressing H while using any other tool. What about commit or cancel fill changes? Commit or cancel fill changes. By the way, when you get the desired fill result in the image, you should click OK at the bottom of the content aware fill panel or press enter if you use Windows, and then return if you use Mac OS to commit fill. And after that, to cancel fill and exit the content aware fill workspace, you should click cancel at the bottom of the content aware fill panel or press escape. How to reset all fill setting? To reset all content aware fill setting, you should click the reset button icon in the lower left corner of the content aware fill panel.